Hi, I'm Ryan, and I created Nyched. Could you imagine a world where online on the internet there wasn't algorithmic control? We weren't being pushed or pulled in one direction or the other by programs and gatekeepers and companies. We weren't constantly being fed advertisements that they think that we want to see. Wouldn't it be amazing if we were actually in control, if we were treated like adults like we are in the real world, if we had autonomy to make decisions for how our feeds and how information comes across our plate? Kind of sounds like a dream, doesn't it? Well, it doesn't have to be. The problem with every platform online is that they depend heavily on the algorithm. The algorithm is there at every single turn, looking over your shoulder. It's there making decisions for you before you even get to that point in the feed. It's there deciding what you see next. And ultimately, it's tracking it and recording it all of the time. It's not just watching right now and making an estimation based on what you're doing this moment. It's got years of data on you. That is an ethical issue in my mind. It's something that is not right. It should not be that way. And it takes away from our autonomy. It takes away from us being in control. It takes away from us being able to trust these companies. And it calls to question, what else are they doing? What else are they doing with the information they have on us? It's a huge issue right now online, that we just have information being pumped to us based on some sort of program that someone created, and it would clearly have their bias in it. It would clearly give them control to pull a lever or turn a knob and allow whatever information they want through, or disallow whatever information they don't want through. Now, I believe it's their right, but I also believe that it's wrong. I do not think it's the best way to treat your customers and to treat your users. I think the better way to go about it is to eliminate those things because of the ethical implications of them, and instead put the power into your hand. If there isn't an algorithm, we have a greater deal of responsibility to decide and make decisions on what information comes across our feed. Providing autonomy to the individual, especially digitally and online, is the only ethical way to do business between two people, between a business and an individual. You know, we shouldn't have our information sold. We shouldn't have algorithms making decisions for us on how we consume information about our hobbies and our interests and our ideologies. We should be put in the driver's seat, just like we are in the real world. We have autonomy in the real world to go do the things we want to do, to go get the information that we want to get, to interact with the people and the organizations we want to interact with. But when there's an algorithm in between us online, that's not ethical, and it doesn't provide a way for us to trust the information that's coming across our plate, to trust that there isn't bias in it, to trust that we didn't miss something because it just wasn't shown to us. There are no algorithms. There are no data manipulation. There's no selling of your information. You have autonomy. When we're not in control, what is the implication on our privacy? What does that mean for us? You know, in the real world, we have the right to privacy. We have the right to create private areas and private spaces for ourselves where all of our information isn't just being gathered by some government employee at the front door or in our kitchen when we're eating dinner to say, oh, they had salmon for dinner tonight, and they talked about these topics, and they looked at their phones for 13.25 seconds, and all of those types of things that algorithms are doing. It's an invasion of our privacy, so that is part of why I believe it's unethical to have a program like that essentially following us around and then pushing information to keep us engaged in these platforms. My ultimate goal is to give you autonomy and to treat you like the human being that you are, to treat you like the individual that you are, and ultimately give you a way to be in control. In order to have a user-centric internet, we have to eliminate gatekeepers. Gatekeepers would be anything that gets between us and the information that we want to have interactions with. So this would include, chiefly among them, algorithms. Algorithms are just programs that are designed to kind of cut a path for us, cut a path in front of us. And it makes decisions along the way of what content we interact with more so that we can get more of that. The other type of gatekeepers are moderators. Now, we are aware of moderators in groups and in forums and those types of things, but there's also the ones that we aren't aware of, the ones that maybe work for the company and that they're making decisions on an ideological level based on the company's bias. In a perfect world, gatekeepers wouldn't be a problem, but we don't live in a perfect world, so there's always going to be bias. There's always going to be a moderator that doesn't want to take the time to give some grace and some latitude for people to learn. When you have wide lanes where you can kind of discover and explore and figure out your path through the interests that you're having or the ideology that you're trying to learn, that's when we truly get to learn who we are as individuals. And that's an ethical way to go about things. But online, we don't get that. We get walls put up, and sometimes we don't even notice they're there because they just happen naturally and we've never seen it any different way. On Nyched, I'm trying to create an environment where you are your only gatekeeper, just like it is any other interaction you have throughout the day. And I believe that that's a much more ethical way to deal with things because ultimately the power should lie in the individual's hands. This video is sponsored by Nyched. Nyched is the world's first human interaction platform, and it did something revolutionary. Instead of focusing on profits, instead of focusing on how we can get more money out of our users, we focused on the opposite thing. We actually focused on our users and our users' experience and putting the power and customization into your hands so that you can filter and see exactly what you want to see, so that you can interact with your hobbies and your interests and your ideologies in a manner that suits you. And ultimately, hopefully, so that you can get in touch with those things online more quickly, so that you don't need to be there anymore. And instead of being a consumer of online interests, you're a doer of your interests and your hobbies out in the real world. If any of this interests you, I thank you for being here. I just ask that you go to resistthealgorithm.com to learn more, and I really appreciate you checking this video out. I can't wait to see more of you. Stay tuned. Most platforms don't want us to interact with people face to face. I don't know if anybody remembers Foursquare, but it was pretty popular for a while, and you started checking in, and then there were companies like Meetup that were starting to gain traction over time, and their whole idea was to, kind of bring bits and pieces of the real world into the digital landscape. Most platforms, that's completely counterintuitive to their business model and their plan. Their plan and their goal is to keep you scrolling for as long as possible. The simple reason being is that it's a battle of numbers for them. They know the longer that we spend in their platforms and on their apps, the more opportunities they get to put an advertisement in front of us every time we see one of those advertisements or every time we buy something from their e-commerce platform as well. It's not just dealing with one application anymore. We have these suites of applications that are sharing information about us and our privacy. But I don't think that's a great way to live. If you do, that's fine. If you want to spend 100% of your life online and you want to work remotely and you never want to see a soul because your food is delivered to your front door, your groceries are delivered to your front door, Amazon will have it to you in 2 days, hey, that's great. I think that's perfectly fine. It's fine if that's your belief system. It's not mine personally. And I think most people resonate with the idea of actually getting out in the real world to connect with other people. So, that being said, on Nyched, my goal is to get you in touch with the information that you want so that you can get the dopamine hit, so you can get it more quickly, and then that gives you more time to actually engage in the things that you love to do. I want you to be a doer instead of a consumer. I want you to be out in the real world, creating real world interactions and connections with people who love doing the things that you do as well. Part of the current problem is that every platform out there prioritizes profit over community. It prioritizes profit over user experience. When you're talking about a social interaction type of platform, when you're elevating profit, it creates some issues. It creates some concerns on how information is getting to us. When communities and users and the user experience isn't the primary driving force of a business that's like that in the social platform type of area, then it creates an environment where, biases are put onto us potentially from the company. It doesn't lend to the credibility of the company. It doesn't lend to a good user experience. The other part of it is doom scrolling. The platforms are designed to keep us in the platform for longer, which means they're going to put sensational things in front of us that interact with our emotions to continue keeping us scrolling. The longer that they can keep us in the platforms, the more that they can make off of advertising revenue. The other thing too is with algorithms and profit being the chief aim, it really destroys communities because it encourages that strife and that, butting of heads and argumentative mentality, which in turn fragments communities and doesn't create an environment of collaboration and exploration and discovery on the topics and interests and ideologies that we share with other people. Nyched aims to do something different there. The goal at Nyched is to put you in control so that that's not there, so that we have the freedom to discover these things on our own, so that we can explore again, so that the internet can be made new. I hope this is resonating with you. I hope you're sitting there saying to yourself, yes, this is what we need. I know that was the conclusion I came to, which is why I went down this path and created Nyched. What an amazing internet experience. What an amazing online experience we would have if we were actually in control. If we were behind the driver's seat and not just a passenger on the van. If we got to determine how our information came across our plate and when we got to interact with certain topics and when we got to say what we wanted to certain people. If there wasn't really anything that was off limits and we could be explorers again and discover new ways to do things within our hobbies and within our interests and within our ideologies. We can't do that right now because there's this wall, there's this gatekeeper called the algorithm in the way. And sometimes we hit the wall and a lot of times we don't know that we did. That's what I'm aiming to do at Nyched. I'm aiming to provide a way to put you back in the driver's seat, to create a place where your autonomy is respected, where you as an individual is respected, and to treat you with some human decency, because that's the way it works in the real world. And at the end of the day, I hope that it gives us a little bit more time, because we actually got in touch with the things that we wanted to get in touch with a little bit more quickly, so we can get out in the world and be doers of what we love to do, so that we can interact with other people who are doers of what we love to do, and so that we can change the world together. Imagine a world like that, with how much time each and every one of us spends online. If that were the case, if what I just outlined came true, I know without any lack of confidence that that would 100% change the world. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could interact in an environment online where we were in total control, where there were not algorithms and gatekeepers and other people's biases being pushed on us and leading us down a path that maybe we don't want to go down, or maybe we do. I think that should be up to us. I think that should be up to the individual, not up to some power that's be somewhere else. Wouldn't it be awesome if we created communities online that got us back out into the real world? That's exactly what I aim to do at Nyched. And I hope that that intrigues you. And if it does, I'd love to hear more from you. Nyched is the world's first human interaction platform, and it is totally within your control. To learn more, go to resistthealgorithm.com. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you have something to say on this topic, you agree or disagree with me, please leave a comment down below. That is my favorite part, getting to interact with you. And if you want to see more, I would humbly request that you subscribe to our channel and stay tuned, because the next video is coming up right now.